Selling Canva printables online can be a majorly profitable side hustle or even bring in a full-time income if you do it right. There are all different kinds of printable digital products that people are searching for every day. Things like printable wall art, calendars, invitations, decor, the list goes on and on. One reason I love selling these types of products is because you can do the work to create them once and then set them up to basically sell themselves on repeat, making you passive income each time without requiring any further work to customize, fill, or ship any orders. It's an amazing option to add on to whatever you've already got going on as an easy, passive, additional revenue stream. So today I'm walking you through each step from creating these types of printable products to getting them listed in your shop and making sales. And make sure you watch all the way to the end because I'm going to be sharing 3 bonus tips that you're not going to want to miss. These are 3 of my top tips to make sure your designs look polished and pro level. All right, let's dive in. All right, the first thing we need to do here is to decide on the type of printable that you want to sell. There are lots of different types of printables out there, everything from printable invitations to wall art to stationery to calendars, planners, flashcards, stickers. So printables really is a wide category and it's important to niche down on the specific type first. And if you're not sure, I've got a whole master list of different digital product ideas. You can grab that totally for free. I've got that linked in the description box below, and that'll help give you some ideas for printable type. And then once you've decided on the type of printable you want to offer, then we've got to niche down even further by style. When I say style, I'm talking about the specific aesthetic or feel or vibe that your design gives, which is determined mostly by things like font type, color scheme, and graphic style. So some examples of this could be minimalist or maximalist, boho, beachy, abstract, rustic, glam, retro. Again, so many options here, but you want to make sure that whatever style you decide on is high in demand and something that people are searching for and consistently purchasing. 2 of my favorite ways to brainstorm and get some ideas for this is number 1, to research and brainstorm a little bit with ChatGPT, and secondly, to do some research on websites like Etsy, Pinterest Trends, Pinterest Predicts, Canva Trends, and Creative Market Trends. All of these are websites that are putting out valuable information on what is currently trending in the graphic design world, what people are searching for, what people are purchasing, and it's a great way to make informed, data-driven decisions in your business. All right, once you've decided what type of product you want to sell, then it's time to move on to step number 2, which is to design your printable. There are a lot of different graphic design softwares and programs that you can use to create these types of products, but my absolute favorite, and the one we're going to use today, is Canva. I love Canva because it's free and easy to use. You can get signed up super quick, and it's really beginner friendly. So even if you don't have any graphic design experience, you'll be able to catch on to it and learn pretty quickly how to start working inside the editor. So your very first step when you go to Canva is to create the right size project. One of the biggest headaches you can get into is if you work really hard, pouring all of your time and effort into creating this beautiful design, and then come to find out you did it all in the wrong project size. Now, even if you do that, it's not beyond repair, but let's make it easy on ourselves and just do it the right way from the beginning. Go ahead and create your project from step number 1 in the right size. The size you'll need will depend on what type of printable you've decided to offer. So the size you would need for, let's say, a greeting card or an invitation is going to be different than what you might need if you're creating wall art or creating a calendar. You can find out what size you need easily by doing some research on Etsy, looking at the best-selling listings in your niche, checking out those product descriptions and seeing what other sellers are offering, or you can even go on a tool like ChatGPT and just ask it to give you some ideas for sizing for your specific type of printable. I've also got something that's going to be super helpful for you if you're like, I have no clue about sizing, I have no clue about aspect ratio or file types, then you definitely want to grab my free digital product starter guide linked in the description box below. It gives you everything you need to know when you're wanting to create and sell digital products, but don't really know where to start and need some of that basic know-how in terms of file types, sizing, aspect ratio, resolution. It's going to give you the shortcut so you don't have to waste time wondering and trying to piece these things together. I've got it all laid out for you in that guide. So again, that's totally free for you to download. Definitely grab that with the link below. I also wanted to mention when you're on Canva, you can also start with one of Canva's templates from the template library. You can just click over to that template library and search for the type of template you're looking for. And you can start with one of these. The key here though is if you're selling this as your own product, you want to make sure to significantly alter and make changes to the template to make it your own product. You also want to make sure that you're looking at the template that you choose to see if it's a free Canva template or a Canva Pro template. You can tell by the little crown symbol that's on the Pro pieces of content content and the pro templates. And if it is a pro template with that crown symbol on it, you'll want to make sure to read through the Canva Pro content license to ensure that the way you're planning on using this template is within what Canva allows for pro content. I'm a big fan of just starting from scratch so that you can make sure that your product is totally unique and different from everything else that's out there. So that's what we're going to do in this demo today. And for example, today I'm going to be creating a piece of wall art. So wall art can be sold in several different sizes. I'm going to start with an 8x10 and show you in just a bit how I can resize it to offer multiple different sizes within the same bundle. So once you've created your project in the right size, then we come to the fun part, which is creating the actual design. Now, when it comes to creating graphic designs, there are three main elements or things that you might want to include in your design. You can include one, two, or all three. It's totally up to you and what your vision for your design is. But the first one is graphics. When I say graphics, I'm talking about graphic elements like icons, illustrations, clip art, textures, patterns, backgrounds. These are all considered graphics, and within Canva, there are three main ways that you can find graphics to add to your design. Number one is to click where it says Elements on the left side. This will take you to Canva's element library where you can then type in the search bar whatever you're looking for. So if I'm looking for a graphic of a phone, I can just type in phone, click over to graphics, and then take a look at all of the different graphics in the Canva library. Again, taking note of which ones are free and which ones have that little crown symbol, which means that that's a pro piece of content. Again, if I'm pulling in any pro pieces of content into my design, I just want to make sure that I'm abiding by Canva's pro content license. The second way I can find graphics is actually to generate my own using Canva AI. You can do this from the homepage by clicking over to Canva AI, clicking on create an image, and then giving it a prompt describing exactly the type of image you want it to create. Or if you're already in the editor in your design, you can go to the Magic Media app and use that in a similar way to generate your own design using AI. Or thirdly, you can upload your own graphics from a third-party website. So let's say you purchased a bundle of graphics from a website like Creative Market or Creative Fabrica, or even Etsy itself. You can then upload those into Canva and bring those into your design to use as well. The second element you might want to consider using in your design is photos. Photos are different than graphics because photos are talking about actual photographic images. And again, within the Canva library, you can find a ton of different photos. Just search for what you want, choose one and drag it into your project, or use Canva AI to generate what you're looking for, or upload your own in the Uploads tab from a third-party website. And thirdly, you might want to consider using text in your design. You can do this easily by going to the left-hand side on Canva, clicking on text, and then clicking to add your text to your project, typing in whatever you want, and you can customize your text and make it look exactly like you want by changing out the font and even adding fun effects like a neon effect. You can hollow it out, you can make it curved, so many different fun things that you can explore within the text effects on Canva. Canva also offers pre-made font combinations, so if you're looking to find 2 or 3 different fonts that work well together, you can find this within those font combinations easily with one click, add that to your project, and customize it to say what you want it to. Now, like I mentioned before, we've got free pieces of content, pro pieces of content. That applies to both graphics and photos, and within the fonts for text, you've also got free fonts and pro fonts. Now, you can do pretty much everything you need to within the Canva free plan, but if you're wanting to be able to have access to those pro pieces of content and be able to have access to some of the advanced pro tools, then you'll want to try out Canva Pro. And I've got a link in the description box below for a free 30-day trial. So you can try it out, see if it offers what you need for your designing process, and go from there. I've also got one more thing linked below that I know is going to be a super helpful resource for you, and that is my Digital Product Powerhouse Masterclass. It's a 45-minute deep dive training class where I go through how to start and grow a profitable digital products business. So talking about products like this, printables, but also other types of digital products. If you're interested in offering templates or guides, there's so many different types of digital products out there, but this training class goes through the 4 crucial steps you'll need to take to start making daily sales with your digital products business. It's completely free for you to watch. You can watch it on demand. So definitely click that link below to hop over and watch that when you're done watching this video. All right, once you've got your design all finished, it's ready to go, you're gonna wanna go ahead and download your final file of this. So you're gonna go up to the top right corner and click on share and then on download. And here's where you're gonna choose what file type you need to download this as. Again, this is going to depend on what type of printable you're offering. It's different for different types, but in our case, we're talking about wall art specifically for this demo. So I'm most likely gonna choose a JPG or a PNG. Then once I choose my file type, if I have Canva Pro, I can use the size and quality sliders to slide those all the way to the right to get the highest resolution and download this with 300 DPI, which is dots per inch. The number of my DPI tells me how quality the resolution is specifically for printables. So I wanna make sure that when my file or my design is printed out, it's not going to appear grainy or pixelated or blurry at all. all. I want it to be super crisp and clear, high quality, and the industry standard minimum for this type of quality for printables specifically is 300 DPI. So I'm going to take this quality slider all the way to the right and go ahead and download this file. And then I recommend after you've downloaded your file to find it, open it up on its own, and open the inspector for that file to confirm that you've got at least 300 DPI for your resolution. And one last thing I want to mention here before we move on to the next step is if you're offering a product like wall art that you want to offer a bundle with several different sizes in it, if you have Canva Pro, you can easily use the resize feature. So you're not having to copy and paste all of your elements from one project to the next to create different sizes. In your editor, you can simply just go up to the top where it says resize and enter the size that you want, either using one of their preset sizes or inputting your own custom size. Then once you've resized, you'll click into that new project that's in the new size, and you may need to make a few little adjustments and edit the design a little bit to fit that new size. And once you've done that, you can go and download that size as its own file. You'll continue repeating this process for as many different sizes as you want, resizing, and then you'll collect all of those final files into the bundle that you're going to deliver to your buyer, which we'll talk more about in just a minute. All right, next is time to create your mockup. A mockup is an image that you're going to be creating to go on your actual product listing in your shop, and it's a way for you to put your design into a staged photo of physical products to give your buyer an idea of what this would look like as a physical, tangible item. Because sometimes it's hard for people to imagine what it actually is as a digital product. So having polished pro-level mockups are really important, and this is going to really make or break your whole product listing. So you can create your mockups easily within Canva. We're going to stay in Canva for this, and you're going to want to start a new project in the right size that your listing image needs to be. So the size of a listing image on Etsy is going to be different than what it would be on Shopify or if you're hosting with a different hosting platform. So you're going to want to research for your specific selling platform what size you need to create your listing images in. Since we're going with Etsy for today's demo, Etsy recommends that the shortest side of your image be at least 2,000 pixels. So if you wanted to do a square image, you could do 2,000 by 2,000. Another popular size for Etsy listing images is 3,000 by 2,250 pixels. So we're going to go ahead and create ours for today in that size. Then the next step is you're going to go to the upload section and upload the file that you just downloaded and created in Canva of your actual printable product. Now, if it's something that's like a multi-page document, another option is to just take screenshots of each of the different pages and upload those individually. Now, when it comes time to actually choosing your mockup image, we've got two options here. Number one is you can purchase mockups from a third-party website like Etsy or Creative Market. Make sure to purchase the rights to use those commercially. And then once you've downloaded those from that third party, you're going to upload those into Canva using that same uploads tab, and then drag your photo into your project to work with. Or you can make use of the app within Canva called Mockups. Inside the Mockups app, you'll see mockups for all different types of products, both physical and digital. They've got everything from print product mockups for products like invitations and greeting cards, to device mockups featuring laptops and phones and tablets, to frame mockups for products like posters and printable wall art. So you can use one that's already there. In that case, you'll just choose the mockup image that you like, click to add it to your project in Canva, and then go to your upload section where you just uploaded the files or images of your design, and you'll click to drag that into the mockup. What's really great about Canva mockups is that they've already got the frame built in, so when you drag your design on top of it, it should automatically snap into place within that frame. Now, if you can't find an image that you really love inside that Mockups app, you can use the option at the top that says create a mockup template. Now, this is a Canva Pro feature, so you will have to have Canva Pro to be able to use this. But once you have Canva Pro, you can use this option within the Mockups app to actually turn a photo that you already have that's not currently a mockup with a Canva frame inside into a mockup that has a Canva frame that you can then drag your design into. So let's say I go over to the Canva Elements library. I want to find something with a picture frame in it. So I'm going to type in picture frame and then look underneath the photos section and find one that I like. I'm going to click to add that to my project. And with that selected, go back to the Mockups app and click where it says create a mockup template. This is going to use Canva's AI magic to turn that photo into an actual mockup. It's going to give me a few different options. So I'll select the one that I feel like is most accurate. And then again, like we did with the other, I can go to the upload section and drag my design on top of this to add it into the frame on the mockup. Now, one little note here, when you're using this option of turning a photo into a mockup is you want to make sure that you have the rights to whatever photo you're using to use that in the commercial way that you're wanting to. So whether you're sourcing that photo from the Canva library, or maybe you purchased the photo on a different platform and uploaded it into Canva, you just want to make sure that you have the rights to use that in this way. If you're using photos from within the Canva library, I always encourage people, if they're unsure, to just default to using the free photos. The ones that are pro content with a little crown symbol on them fit in under the Canva Pro Content License, which is a little more strict in terms of what you can do with it and what you can't. Then once you have your mockup ready to go, you're going to want to download this, again going up to the top right corner and clicking share and then download and choosing your file type. Most of the time for these types of mockup images, a JPG is fine, or you can use a PNG if you need a transparent background. Then you'll want to repeat this whole process to create several of these different mockups using different images, showing your product possibly from different angles or in a bundle. You want to create as many of these images as your listing will allow you to give your potential buyer the best idea of what's actually included in this and help them envision how it would serve them in their real life. Okay, moving on to the next step, and it's finally time to create your product listing. Now, there are a lot of different website hosts and marketplace platforms that you could sell these types of products on, but my two favorite are Etsy and Shopify. I recommend Etsy if you're a brand new beginner with no audience built up yet, as you can take advantage of Etsy's built-in traffic of millions of loyal shoppers. But if you do have a little bit of your own audience built up, you might consider hosting your own website with Shopify. That way you have more control over customization and making it look exactly like you want it to. They're both great options, and eventually you could do both together. But for this demo today, we're going to focus on Etsy, and I'm going to show you the most important parts of creating an Etsy listing for a printable product. So when you go to create a new Etsy listing, the first thing you'll need to choose is if it's a physical or a digital product or file. Of course, for this one, we're going with digital, and then you'll move into creating the actual listing itself. You'll want to follow the prompts that it gives you and fill out all of the different fields as completely as possible. I don't have time in this video to go through every single field that it offers, but I am going to point out three of the most important parts of it. The first one being the fields where you're going to input specific keywords for SEO purposes. This is search engine optimization, and this is where we're going to be intentionally plugging in phrases that we know our target customers are searching for a lot on the platform, so that the Etsy algorithm can correctly identify what our listing is about and show it to those shoppers, and hopefully rank it high on the first few pages of results. There are 5 specific areas in your listing that you'll want to be plugging these keyword phrases into. Those 5 areas being your title, your tag section, your description, the category, and the attributes. You can do a little bit of research on Etsy itself using the suggested phrases that pop up when you start to type in something you're thinking of selling to see what phrases are being highly searched, or you can use a third-party research tool like Sales Samurai, eRank, Marmalade, or Everbee. The second area we're going to talk about in the listing is where you're going to upload the mock-up images that you just created. So this is your listing image section, and with Etsy specifically, you've got 10 different photo slots where you can input these types of images. This is where you'll want to go ahead and upload your mock-ups, making sure that you have the very best one set as your first listing photo, which is going to serve as your thumbnail. This is going to be the image that pops up when someone does a search on Etsy and gets all of the results that are showing up on those first several pages. So you want to make sure that your thumbnail is top-notch and pro quality so it grabs the buyer's attention. And the third part we're going to look at here on this listing is where you're actually going to upload your digital file, or if you have multiple files, to the listing so that when your buyer purchases, they're going to be able to instantly receive these and download them and use them. So this is the section where you're going to click to upload your file. You can have up to 5 files in this section. So if you've got multiple, you can upload those each as a separate file. Or if you're offering a bundle with more than 5 files, you can do a little bit of a workaround by uploading your files to Google Drive or Dropbox, and then creating one simple PDF file to go here with the link for that Google Drive or Dropbox folder embedded in it. This way your buyer would get that one PDF file, open it, and click over to the Google Drive folder or the Dropbox folder, where they would then have access to all of the different files in the bundle. You can easily create a deliverable PDF file like this in Canva, copy and paste the link for your Dropbox or your Google Drive folder within your file in Canva, and download it as a PDF. So whether you're uploading the actual files for your printables or this deliverable file with the link embedded, this is the section you're going to upload that into on Etsy. And then of course, you'll want to go through, like I mentioned before, and fill out all the rest of the fields to complete this listing as thoroughly as possible and click to publish. All right, you might think that once you have your listing created, that's it, the work is done. But there's one other step here that a lot of people skip and end up making no sales because they're not paying attention to this. And this is where we're going to intentionally market your shop. So I repeat, do not skip this step. This is where you're taking your shop, you're telling the world about it, and you're driving traffic to make those first few sales and get the momentum going. It is so important to be intentional and proactive about this because no one is going to know that your products exist if you don't get out there and tell them. So there are a lot of different forms of digital marketing out there, lots of ways you can shout it from the rooftops, but my 3 favorite ways to do this online are specifically with content or social media marketing, email marketing, and relationship marketing. The way I view it is I'm using a content platform that could either be a social media platform like Instagram or Facebook, or it could be a search engine platform like YouTube or Pinterest. Just somewhere where I'm posting some content to serve my ideal customer and let them know about my product. I'm using that content platform then to get people to opt in to join my email list. The email list is where I'm going to be serving my customers and selling on a deeper level, and email is where the sales happen. That's where conversions happen. So we're using content marketing and email marketing together and then adding the cherry on top, which is the relationship marketing. This is where you're collaborating with other people, whether it be other business owners, maybe influencers, but you're getting in front of other people's audiences that are already built, so you're not having to start from scratch. When you use all 3 of these forms of marketing together, you're putting your best foot forward in terms of getting your business discovered fast. Okay, now I know I mentioned I've got 3 bonus tips for you, so let's dive into those real quick. Bonus tip number 1 is one of my favorite features on Canva. So when you're working with a photo in your editor, if you have the photo selected, you can go up to where it says edit on that top floating toolbar. And under the edit menu, you're gonna find under the apps section where it says textures. The textures app will allow you to add really cool, fun, and unique textures to your design, whether you're wanting to add it as a background layer, add it as an overlay on top of something like a photo. There's so many different fun things you can do with these textures, but they've got so many different fun types, from wood grain to VHS to paper types. So I totally suggest that you go in there and just look around, play around with these textures, because adding a texture like this can really level up your design, set it apart, and make it really unique and visually appealing. Bonus tip number 2 is another app under that photo editing section, and this is called Tracer. So let's take, for example, this phone photo that I found in the Elements library. This is an actual photographic image, but let's say I want something like this as a vector image that I can then use as an icon, an illustration, change the coloring around. I can use this Tracer app to turn this into a vector, either a black and white or color. So if I turn it into a black and white vector, it's going to, with one click, go ahead and transform that into a vector from a photo. And then, like I said, I can click on that, I can select it and change the coloring around and use this more as an illustration than an actual photograph. This one, again, is super fun to play around with, experiment, and see what you can come up with so that you can have some really unique clip art and graphic elements to work with. And bonus tip number 3 plays into both of these, and this is to use layering and transparency. So I'm a big fan of layering, like we talked about with the textures, whether it's layering a texture on top of a background and then layering some text or a graphic image on top of that, or whether you're using a photo as your background and using a texture on top of the photo. Maybe you would layer a shape on top of that and use the transparency slider to bring the coloring and the transparency of that shape down so you can see through it a little bit to the background. This is where you're really leveling up your graphic design in terms of making it look like it was designed by a pro, giving it that visual interest and appeal that's going to really sell your product. Now remember, if you're just starting a digital products business, or maybe you've already started and you just haven't seen the amount of sales that you wanted to, definitely grab the link below to hop over and watch my free 45-minute long digital product powerhouse masterclass. And while you're down there, grab those links for that master list of different digital product ideas, as well as your digital product starter guide. Happy selling, friend.
Already packing, come with me. I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know.